What's up there, Workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and if you have not heard, we finally have a list of things that you need to get done, and by when, for World of Warcraft before Battle for Azeroth. Now on worldofwarcraft.com, they have finally announced what we need to do to prepare for Battle for Azeroth and some things that are going to get removed. Now the first and the largest, in my opinion, is the Mage Tower. I have heard it both ways. We're keeping the Mage Tower, you'll be able to go back, it'll probably sync to a certain eye level, so the challenge always remains there, but you can go back and get those transmog appearances later. And then I've heard, no, it's disappearing, you need to do it now, you need to grind it, so that if you need to repeat one of them a million times for your favorite spec of your favorite class, you have plenty of time. You're going to be able to do it all the way until the drop of the expansion. Well, now we have the final story. The Mage Tower is going to be available from now all the way until Prepatch, which is expected to be July 10th or 17th. But for this video's purposes, let's assume we only have until July 10th. If we get an extra 7 days, wonderful. Now, they are going to have the Mage Tower permanently up, so as soon as you unlock it by pushing through that campaign, you actually have access to it. I just did it on stream today on my last and final character to hit 110 pre-BFA, and I've got it unlocked and I'm ready to go, but I don't have the eye level. So make sure you look up guides, because you're going to start burning through those, those shards and everything like that, and just make sure you're ready to go. But the first time you attempt the challenge is free as usual. Each time after that it will cost nether shards. They are not going to remove that cost. So you need to be ready with your resources to get it done. I think my particular challenge, it looked like I needed to be around like a 920, so I'm going to need to get that character all the way through at least like that Argus content and into maybe some basic dungeons to round that out. So what they're doing is that's going to be up, but as of the pre-patch, those transmogs, that's it. It's going to be gone, and so you need to get it done before BFA gets here, July 10th. So that's going to be very, very soon. Now the next thing is that we know that the next big thing for me is that First Aid is going to be no more, and with that the Field Medic title and any achievements or anything associated with First Aid, that entire tab of your achievement section will be gone. So if you want to have those in your feats of strength, you need to achieve those now. Go there, buy your dense embers, your ember soul to make your dense bandages and all the things, level it up, whatever you need to do, get it done or live without. They are going to have a handful of other things here, like your demonic elite, your season 7 ending, things like that, and that your pre-expansion 2-time limited feats of strength will no longer be attainable, ahead of the curve, Argus the Unmaker, and cutting edge, which is beating the final boss Antorus and in heroic or mythic difficulty. So any groups that are kind of on the verge of completing achievements that are no longer going to be in the game, get to it. This is your chance. Like I said, the big one here is that the Mage Tower is disappearing and that First Aid is going with it. First Aid is not a surprise, but we did not know what Mage Tower would be doing, and I would go ahead and get on it. So that's really all this is. This is just a quick PSA to say, get to your Mage Tower. Get it done. There's a million guides out there. I'm not going to make one because by the time I get mine beat, it's going to be literally days before it's out there. So don't look for one here. Just go out there, search your guide. Wowhead has plenty of documentation on all this. If you want written articles, YouTube, I'm sure, has plenty of video guides out there. Look up your class, look up your spec, get it done so you can get those alternative appearances, because if those are gone, and they're really gone, some of them look really awesome. So I'm at least planning to do them on my main. I don't know that I'll get to them on any of the others, because this late in the game, there's still some other things I'd like to take care of. Just to kind of rattle them off real quick, your artifact fishing rod, so much of that is based around the way fishing raids work that even though that doesn't look like it's getting removed, those are going to be a lot easier in the context of, there's still a lot of people doing those raids, and so I would go ahead and take care of that. Any cooking achievements, keep in mind that anything dealing around crafting or a profession like that, that all of those resources that are being generated from people still playing Legion content, all the different meats that drop, the different furs that drop, the green items that drop to disenchant, so all your enchanting mats, the supply of those is going to heavily drop when we all move into spending the most of our time in Battle for Azeroth. So, the availability may not be there. It may not be an issue of, is it more expensive or less expensive on the auction house? It just may not exist. So if there's anything tied to Legion content that is really kind of period appropriate and you're a completionist, so if you want to have those Legion recipes, you want to, you know, work through professions and level up in different things within Legion, I would also go ahead and sit down and make a list of everything you'd like to get done and kind of crank through this before that July 10th point. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is how to cap your artifact weapon. So before I take off here, if you haven't seen that, there is a quest. You can, and it takes you to Silithus. It picks up in Orgrimmar, and it's going to take there and it's going to cap your artifact weapon all the way to 126. So if you're struggling with anything I just talked about, make sure you go get that. I'm sure you've heard about it by now. It's huge. It's an awesome quest. It's totally limited time, and it saved me a ton of effort trying to level that stuff up. All your artifact power little items and stuff that drop after that, honestly, they're just worthless. You can vendor most of them. A lot of them have a vendor value of like 5 gold, 10 gold, some 25 gold. So definitely don't just toss them out like I was at first until somebody kind of pointed out on stream, you know, those have a vendor value, right? I was like, I never thought about it. I was just clearing out inventory. So definitely vendor those. Get your weapons all capped. Go knock out your mage tower, and I will see you guys in Battle for Azeroth. Expect a lot more guides on this channel coming about WoW in the weeks and months to come as we shoot into Battle for Azeroth. A lot of opinion pieces, things like that. I'm not giving up on Final Fantasy. I'm actually going to be covering both at once, but just like if there was a new expansion for Final Fantasy, I can promise you the Battle for Azeroth is going to take a back seat when we get a new expansion for Final Fantasy next year, at least for that kind of first month. So, you know, I'm going to start saying that at a lot of the end of these videos here to kind of set the expectation that, you know, I'm still covering Final Fantasy, I'm still very much liking Stormblood, but that when I have to choose between 4.4, whatever patch works out, and a whole new expansion, that anytime I have a choice between a content patch and an expansion, I'm going to lead to the expansion. That just seems to make sense to me. So this has been Chris with Work to Game. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hopefully this brief little PSA news announcement thingy is news to you, and hopefully it's exciting news at that. Thank you guys so much. I will see you next time. Do you guys remember Clyde the Couch Bear from the early videos when I was shooting in my living room and the couch was right behind me? Just wanted to do a quick update on his life. He has been way promoted. He's now guest bedroom bear. Doesn't flow as well, but definitely feels like he's got his own sweet gigs now that we have 2 beds in our house.